Everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to the Slowest WAAAGH, where we are playing Tzeentch. It's turn 16. The world is moving, and we are not. Whoops. Conjuration 3 has been researched on our way up to Conjuration 4. Augury, found nothing. Arcane Probing, found nothing. Side searched in Force of the Lost, found nothing. Side searched in Ard, found nothing. Granted, those were just two cultists. Yikes. Please, Augury, Arcane Probing, give me something. Please. Please. We are fighting in Cormark. Let's see what it goes. So, we're not expecting any issues with this. We've got a bunch of Chaos Warriors here. All that's left really are a bunch of archers. We do have the Beast, the foul spawn Urguk's Beastmen. Expecting that they're going to get shot to shit. Got some shrubs up north. Knock them down. Knock them down. Yeah. Ooh, uh-oh. Oh, water elemental. We don't like that. We got marauders on the wings, doing an attack rear to hopefully take out some of those mages sooner rather than later. Which looks like that is going well. Fantastic. Yeah, I did not expect that we would have any real issues with this, so that went relatively well. We did lose a Chaos Troll, not super surprised. Lost 3 Marauders, lost pretty much all the foul spawn. Whatever, who cares, right? 18 more secrets to unlock. We're getting closer. And then we got a bunch of events this turn. Please be good. That's good. That's what I'm talking about. That's hell yes. Alright, a treasure has been found. 1910, 1,910 gold, 2 fire gems, 5 air gems, 4 earth gems, and a blue dragon scale mail. That's semi-useful, right? This is what we want. We want luck. Obviously, we also want like heroes and things like that. But very, very excited to get some gold events. That's a pretty big gold event. Very happy about that. We want that. Traveler's Rest. Summer was unusually hot. 15 fire gems. Fuck yeah. Super happy about that. Ard. A witch was caught. Misfortune +3 and magic +1. Less happy about that. Corbian. Dominion changed. A huge copper bowl was excavated. A cult is formed. Not happy. Okay. Come on, luck. Give me a break here. Heat +1. Cool. Alright, well, that's unfortunate. We just dropped a lab in Traveler's Rest, and then immediately we run into a situation where it's like, ah, fuck. Are we going to lose our Dominion here? So, hopefully that's not going to be the case, but we'll see. So, we have taken Cormark. Very cool. And it's the Throne of Gaia, which is super interesting. So, like the Throne of Life, this gives some growth, but this gives growth 2 instead of growth 1. Also some nature gems. That being said, obviously we're going to take that, but growth 2 can cause some problems because we are already growth 2. That will put our Dominion at growth 4, which is nice to get the population boost, get the growth bonus and everything like that. That's going to increase our income. The issue is that high of growth can make it to where our plains and farmlands turn into forests. And we don't want that. Because often that comes with a loss in population, which can offset what you're actually doing with the population growth anyways. So that's unfortunate, and it also fucks with our movement, right? We don't have forest movement, so that's not something that we really want. And especially in the future, we don't really want to make ourselves a target for Athel Loren if all of our shit gets turned into forest, or most of our shit gets turned into forest, and then Athel Loren's like, well, hello. Right? Like, So that is questionable. We're probably going to take it anyways, but that could cause us problems in the long run. In taking Cormark, we do get to see a fun little thing where we've got some raiders from Bone Nose in the back line of Middenheim, so that's kind of fun. We're sending most of our forces back from Cormark to Traveler's Rest. We're not super interested in immediately fortifying Cormark, is what it is. In Traveler's Rest itself, we're going to start popping out Acolytes, getting some Chaos Warhounds, and as you can also see, getting some Chaos Horse Archers, and we'll talk more about this later. And we're going to start trying to preach our Dominion back into Corbion, just like we are doing in Umpholia. That needs to be fixed ASAP. Otherwise, we're going to lose a 700 gold temple in Traveler's Rest, and that is not what we want at all. So, fingers crossed. Down in Valcoria, we don't really have much going on, except we are snagging a few Amazons. Checking around, because we did have some... we also have some archers over in Ard. Talk more about that here in a second. In Tzeentch itself, we are getting another sorcerer. We only have 2 sorcerers right now. One who is auguring, and then this other one who is not doing much of anything right now because we don't need him to. We are trying to get a nature or an heir 2 sorcerer. That's very specifically what we are after. We want an heir 2 sorcerer so that we can start actually doing auspex. Do we have auspex yet? No, we don't have auspex yet, but we're in that vein of as soon as we have an heir 2, we're going to try to snag auspex so that we can site search for it. We do have an heir 1 out site searching. The goal there, maximize our heir income. Very greedy play is what it is. Also in Tzeentch, getting more Chaos Warhounds. Going to start getting some of our actual Chosen Warriors and more Marauder Horsemen. We will talk about that in a second. Elsewhere, in Brightwood, we did not get Victor's villains. Nagron took them from us. How dare you? We're still gonna attack Namor. I feel relatively positive about this. So we've got Bear Tribe out in front to catch some lances. The only concern in Namor is how many frickin' heavy cav there were. There were like 1 or 2 there are more mages, I think, but nothing of great consequence. If we can kill the heavy cav, we can take this province without any issue. And I think the amount of marauders that we have here, plus the elephant riders, are going to do just that. There's nothing crazy going on here. We've got a big stack of marauders in the center, some marauders on the flanks. Elephants, with the speed that they have, should be able to come in and hit at a good time with the marauders. And we have Bear Tribe warriors up front to catch some lances. Should be very simple, no real issues. And if we take Cormark and Namor, right, we have 2 thrones, which is nice, but we also have a lock point or kind of like these gauges where we're looking north from there, right? So that's the generalized plan. Hopefully this doesn't spark any issues with Athel Loren. We shall see. So let's talk about the other thing that we've got going on, and that is Marauder Horse Archers, as well as just in general archers from all over the place, right? Including some Wolf Tribe up here. And we're getting a scout. We're finally getting a scout. Yay! What are we doing with that? Well, we are being very greedy with our tech, right? So our goal is, of course, Enchantment 6 and Conjuration 6 when our god awakens. And the intent there is to immediately be able to put up Eternal Pyre, and then every other turn, summon a Demon Prince of Tzeentch. Now, obviously, right, like, we're probably not going to do that because we'll find other uses for our fire gems. So occasionally we instead of doing it every other turn, we'll do it like every 3 turns or every 4 turns or whatever. But the intention there is to have a shit ton of fire gems and be able to pop out a bunch of Daemon Princes and just go ham with them. That's the goal. So in doing that, we're trying to look at we're not doing things like alteration, right? Which is generally the kind of like the buff tech, especially early game tech, right? Is this concept. So what are we gonna do if we actually get into a war with Middenheim or Bone Nose or something like that? Well, the answer comes in enchantment, and that is flaming arrows, right? This is trivially easy for us to cast, either in a small communion or just with a sorcerer, or given the right individual, just straight up without any questions asked or anything like that. Either casting it with additional gems to be able to reach the level, or doing something like Phoenix Power in order to hit our required level, etc., etc. So getting up to Enchantment 5 is going to be very easy for us. Flaming Arrows hits a very large area, 20 plus. Extra 8 AP fire damage. We have fire resistance on our Bless. That's the fucking goal. We're gonna start, basically every turn, we're gonna start recruiting Chosen Warriors. The intent there is to have a decent-sized line of Chosen Warriors to hold the line. And then we're going to have a shit ton of fucking archers behind that are all getting flaming arrows and just firing into the fucking mix, right? That is our early game quote-unquote tech. Now, it's probably going to be about turn... Fudge. Probably going to be about turn 24 or so. Our tech, our research speed is going to go up rather quickly as we actually start finishing fortifications and labs and things like that in Sirmiok, Valcoria, Traveler's Rest, that whole scenario. Right now we're doing fine, I think, for turn 16, but we're going to be doing way better pretty quickly. So while it might not look like we could get to Enchantment 5 that fast, it'll start taking off. Ooh, I'm spitting everywhere. It'll start taking off pretty shortly. So I'm not super concerned about that. That does mean if we're going to start a war at around like turn 20, that means we won't have the tech for the war that we want, which is dicey. But depending on the situation, not a super big concern, right? As an aside on Marauder Horse Archers, these guys are actually really fucking good, I think. For what you're spending on them, 25 gold, 22 resources, 22 recruitment points, you're getting a pretty good composite bow, right? But you're also getting a 13 protection, 13 defense, 20 damage falchion, and a hoof. And that's pretty solid, right? So these guys with 12 ammunition are going to do great with flaming arrows. But they also will do pretty well in melee. And won't just immediately fold if something comes around the corner into their line, right? 20 damage falchion is absolutely able to punch through a lot of higher tier armor. Even something like Chosen Warriors or something like that. More specifically, if we're talking about Middenheim, they absolutely can damage Order Knights. They absolutely can damage Tutechin Guard, right? Those are legitimate options. Whereas a lot of other archers are not going to do that the majority of the time. So, that being said, we are recruiting a bunch of archers just because the idea is to have 200, 300 archers, like a stack of, 80 to 100 melee, like, frontliners, and then 200, 300 archers to blanket with flaming arrows and just say, fuck you, fight in the shade. Right? kind of concept. So that's the overall plan. Timing is going to be an issue. It's all going to come down to what happens between these two individuals, between Bone Nose and Middenheim. But I think the plan that we have is effective versus either of them, right? It'll be effective versus Middenheim. It'll be effective versus Bone Nose. I feel relatively confident that us playing tall like this and getting into a war later is going to benefit us. The only issue is if someone else comes into play. If our other three neighbors come into play, or if someone else comes into an intervention between these two, and that throws off the mix, right? If Naggarond is like, oh, well, actually, it's time to fight, then fuck, that might be an entirely different thing. Same thing for the dwarves and the elves. I think we would do well against the elves in the plan that we're already planning for. I don't think we would do well against the dwarves with the plan that we're aiming for, and Naggarond would be a mixed bag, I think, because they could win the archery duel with us potentially. So that is kind of the concern. Elves could also win the archery duel against us, but it depends on if they're on home ground or like in a forest or not, right? Damn you, Throne of Gaia! So, that is gonna be the other thing. I noted this. Actually, this is a great thing to talk about. I noted this. This is not in someone else's dominion. This is Middenheim's dominion. This is Athel Loren's dominion. This is Death 2. That's neither of their dominions. And I don't think it's Bone Nose either. Which generally means increases death by a maximum of 2. It generally means that this is probably going to be the Throne of Death. Which is really fucking interesting. Because the Throne of Death is not normally something that you'd be very excited to get. Because it's Death 1. Right? Not something you really, really want. But we want 2 thrones because we want the Dominion spread bonus so that we can push our Dominion, right? And get more secrets from other people's provinces, right? And getting 5 death gems income is no fucking joke. This would counter our Throne of Gaia, which would bring us down from growth 4 to growth 3, which would still give us a nice bonus, a nice boost, but wouldn't put us into that kind of like forest issue territory. There's probably an argument on the min-maxingness of which do you value more, the death income and balance, or the higher amount of growth. But if this is the Throne of Death, I think very likely we will claim that throne, claim the Throne of Gaia, be happy that we're now growth 3, and be happy to have the Dominion spread and the 5 death income, and just go from there. I really am crossing my fingers that that's how this is going to play out. So, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.